Well, that indeed is snow at the top of that mountain. Surprise, surprise, actually, that mountain is apparently the highest point in Spain. And for some of you, that of course will tell you exactly where we are. If I zoom out, you'll see that there's also a bit of a marina here, along with sailboats. And indeed, we are on an island. Of course, it could be in a way. Spain's got lots of islands. Of course, there's only one that has the highest mountain, and that's the island of Tenerife, or Tenerife. And indeed, that's where we are. It's all part of the Canary Islands. Canary Islands are, of course, a little bit touristy, not touristic. And normally I do tend to avoid these places. However, the reason I came to this island is because there are 2 World Heritage Sites on here. That mountain, El Teide, being part of one of them, which means I have to go there, which I will be either tomorrow or the day after. The other World Heritage Site is Santa Cruz de Tenerife, which is the other end of the island. So I'll be going there as well, but that's a bus trip. There is a 3rd World Heritage Site, but that's actually not on this island. That's the island over, which is why behind me you'll see where the ferries go from, and I've just been down those offices to get that information, so I'm going to have to do that as well. Anyway, there's another reason why this island is a little bit more significant for me, because Lisa, my love, you probably know, and my 33 other subscribers don't, is that once upon a time I sailed across the Atlantic Ocean on a 12-meter catamaran, and which is quite a trip, to say the least. One does that sort of thing. One tries to go with the trade winds, which are October, November, that sort of time. Anyway, during that trip, I started off in Gibraltar. We went over to Ceuta, which is North Africa, part of Spanish North Africa, to get the boat taken out of the water and slipped, as they call it, and had all sorts of things done to the hull. After that time there, we went over to Funchal, which is part of the Azores, which are north of here. Then after Funchal, we came to Tenerife. Unfortunately, between Funchal and Tenerife, about 2 o'clock in the morning, we lost the dinghy. We had been towing the dinghy, something happened and we lost it. And despite all of us getting up, including yours truly in his underpants and circling around and trying to find said dinghy, we couldn't, so we came into Tenerife. And I'll tell you the story of the customs officer one day who was trying his best not to throw up over the side of the yacht. That's another story that you don't know about, my love. Anyway, we came into Tenerife, and we were on this island we were on the boat, which was moored off, physically anchored, a couple hundred yards, I suppose, off the island itself. And we were getting the boat ready for a transatlantic crossing, because when you do that sort of thing, you don't really know how long it's going to take. You have an idea. So we were getting the boat ready for all that kind of thing, and we were waiting for a new dinghy to be shipped out from the UK. So we're actually in the Tenerife area, if you include 200 yards offshore, for about a month, doing the boat up, waiting for the dinghy and what have you. And most of the time we were actually working. A couple of times we came ashore to, probably go to the market, and not really any tourist stuff, to be honest. We had other things to do. However, on the last day, I remember we came into a port somewhere, took the dinghy. Oh no, we actually took the yacht to the port, and you fill up with fuel, and you put as much water as you can in there. You have the big sort of bags just designed for holding water, in addition to the water tanks, and you fill everything up as much as you can, because you just don't know how long the trip's going to take. I think we were thinking like 42 days at the most, which is a bit of a worst case scenario. And somewhere we tied the boat up, and we went off. We would have got fruit and vegetable, and of course, you can't buy fruit and veg for 6 weeks because it's not going to last that long. So you kind of think to yourself, okay, we're going to store it as cool as possible. How long will the fruit and veg last? So I think we kind of estimated for about 2 weeks of that. Put as much fuel as we can, as much water as we can, and at some point you push off. And from then on, it's just water. And there's just no way of knowing how long it's going to take, and what is going to happen along the way for a trip like that. And I've been trying to remember where we actually pushed off from. I have been to Los Cristianos. I do have a postcard that I sent myself from here, and there's I really don't know. There's a good chance it's actually that point right there where we actually said goodbye to land, and off we go. And to be honest, it could be that point there, right there, for all I know. But I just can't remember. I may have some photographs somewhere of that sort of thing. Anyway, the trip itself, from actually pushing off to actually dropping anchor off Antigua, was 27 days and 22 hours, and that was, I think it was in the middle of the night that we actually anchored off Antigua. And the reason we did that is because obviously it's dark then, and there are reefs, and one doesn't want to try and negotiate one's way around reefs when it's dark. For obvious reasons, it would have been a shame to sink the boat, with a few hundred yards to go. So we didn't actually anchor off Antigua 2 o'clock in the morning, because we're a couple of miles out to sea, so you can't actually anchor there because it's too deep. So there's some way that you can kind of turn the anchor one way, you set the mizzen sail the other way, and you have the steering lashed one of those 2 ways, and somehow that acts as a brake, and that actually stops the boat. It acts like an anchor even though you actually haven't dropped the anchor. It's quite interesting actually. Anyway, and God, I'm waffling on too much, aren't I? I do have some photographs of all this stuff somewhere. But anyway, so that's why Tenerife is a little special for me, and it could actually be that point there where we actually pushed off from, but it can't be too far from here, wherever that place was. And I remember thinking to myself, man, what am I letting myself in for here? But and of course, right, I don't know how many of you have seen that. There is a scar that goes just under my knuckles, and it was on that trip from here to Antigua that caused that scar to occur. That's another story. Anyway, and yes, can you believe it's snow up there? Even though we're not too far from Morocco, but of course Morocco has snow as well as the Atlas Mountains, and there's snow there, as you and I, my darling love Lisa, have seen. Ah, dearie me, memories. Okay, bye.